Tonight, I must tell you about Kareem, a friend who searched for money and instead found death. It all began with a whisper on the dark web. They buy anything, even the belongings of the dead. Kareem's voice still haunts me. I begged him, "Don't go there, please." But his eyes were empty, hungry, as if greed had already devoured his soul. He opened a hidden page. The screen glowed a sickening red. The title, Trade of the Dead. The rules appeared. No direct contact. Proof of the deceased required. Break the rules, and you will join us. That last line, "join us," burned into my mind like fire. Days later, Kareem returned with a bag, a hospital bag. He unzipped it slowly. Inside, blood-soaked clothes, still damp. The air reeked of iron. I whispered, "Where did you get this?" He smiled too wide. "They throw these things away, but for us, it's treasure." He uploaded the photos. The screen flashed. Accepted. And then the lights flickered, and something breathed in the dark. The next night, he led me to a basement. In the center, a steel table, candles in a circle, symbols drawn in what looked like blood, and on the table, a girl tied down. I screamed, "Kareem, what are you doing?" But his voice was not his own when he replied, "The buyers demand proof, and the dead demand respect." He began chanting words no living tongue should ever speak, and then the girl screamed. Her scream broke apart and became something monstrous. "Who dares call me? Who trades the souls of the dead?" The laptop glowed by itself. Dozens of faces appeared, dead faces, rotting eyes, mouths stretched open in endless screams. The girl's body shook violently, bones cracked, her eyes rolled pure white. Voices overlapped, male, female, hundreds at once. All who disturb the dead, all who profit from our pain, will join us. I begged Kareem, "Shut it down, please," but the keyboard typed on its own. The screen bled with words, "Join us, join us, join us." The candles exploded. Darkness swallowed everything. The door slammed shut. Then came the screams, Kareem's voice, ripped away into the shadows, dragged, consumed. I clawed at the door, my nails split, my fingers bled, but it would not open. And then the whispers inside my head, behind me, everywhere. "You're next, you're next, you're next." I escaped that night, but I was never free. When I close my eyes, I still see them, the faces, the whispers, the curse, and one truth remains. The dead never forgive greed. It was midnight, the cemetery silent, but not empty. Yasser, the gravedigger, worked alone under a pale moon. As he lowered the coffin into the ground, a wall of an ancient tomb collapsed. A coffin, untouched for over 100 years, revealed itself. Inside, a rotten wooden chest, sealed with iron nails. When Yasser touched it, black smoke burst into the air, and then a whisper echoed in his mind, "We've been waiting for you." Inside the chest was a book, bound in human skin, inked in blood, the book of darkness, his curse, and his destiny. In his hut, Yasser opened the book by candlelight. Symbols twisted across the pages, drawings of horned beasts and eyeless faces. The more he read, the more his eyes grew dark. The whispers grew louder. The book is yours, but the price is your soul. From that night, Yasser was never alone again. At midnight, he drew a pentagram on the ground with his own blood. He lit 7 crimson candles and placed a decayed ram's head in the center. The wind howled from nowhere. The walls shook. The voice commanded, "Call me, and I shall answer." Yasser screamed, "Take my soul! Give me money!" Suddenly, a leather bag dropped from the ceiling. Money exploded across the room. Yasser laughed like a madman, unaware that his damnation had begun. Overnight, Yasser became rich, from a gravedigger to a businessman with towers, cars, and servants. But with every deal he closed, someone died. A partner burned alive in his car. A worker drowned in the bath. Another fell dead for no reason. The richer he grew, the bloodier his hands became. One night, Yasser woke up to footsteps in his mansion. He saw his daughter standing by his bed, her eyes black as ink. She whispered in a deep, monstrous voice, "Father, I am the next sacrifice." He looked down. Blood soaked his hands, and in his arms was her lifeless body. He screamed, but the nightmare would not end. The basement door, locked with 7 chains, was wide open. Inside, the walls were covered with the same markings from the grave. Shadows of dead men appeared, faces burned, bodies torn. They screamed, "You sold us to the darkness." Then a colossal figure rose, full of smoke and fire with eyes of blood. The demon said, "The wealth is finished. Now it's your turn." Newspapers screamed, "Yasser bankrupt, Yasser ruined." He ran to his vaults, but every coin turned to ash in his hands. He fell to his knees, crying, "Take my life. Just let me rest." But the demon's voice answered, "Your life? That was the first thing you sold." Blood poured from Yasser's chest, forming symbols across the floor. The mansion was alive, walls breathing, eyes watching. Children's cries echoed in the halls. From the shadows his wife appeared, half her face burned. She whispered, "You gave me as sacrifice. Now I will take you with me." Her burnt hand reached for his throat, cold as the grave. Days later, in the old cemetery, a grave was found open, but empty. On the tombstone was carved, "Yasser, the gravedigger who sold his soul." From the soil, faint sobs were heard. "Give me back my daughter. I don't want money, please. Just give her back." But the only reply was the endless laughter of the devil. The covenant is eternal, and the end is always blood. It was midnight. The old church stood silent, but not empty. David entered, his hands bleeding from the palm trees outside. 4 drops of blood fell onto a strange stone. Each drop awakened 100 years of darkness. The stone began to glow. A black cat appeared, its eyes burning red. Not a cat, but a king of the jinn. The guardian of the stone awakened. David lifted the cursed stone. The cat attacked. The stone crushed its skull. The scream was not human. The church trembled. Candles lit themselves. A voice entered David's mind. You killed the guardian. Now we are free. The stone stuck to his hand. At night, red eyes stared through the windows. His wife heard whispers in the dark. His son woke screaming, blood on his hands. No matter where he placed the stone, it returned to him. From the cellar walls, voices cried, blood for blood, 4 drops, 4 centuries, 4 souls. David understood. The stone demanded sacrifice. David dreamt of the cat sitting on his chest, but its head was human. It forced the stone into his mouth. He woke, choking on blood. His wife whispered in the dark, "The cat is not dead. It lives inside you." His son vanished, dragged into shadows. They found him lifeless, claws carved into his chest. The stone glowed brighter, feeding. "We have chosen," the voice said. His wife painted the walls with her own blood. The house shook. Candles floated in the air. Her eyes turned black. Her voice not her own. 4 drops, 4 lives. It will never end. David saw the cat everywhere, in mirrors, in strangers' eyes, in his own reflection. The house was alive. Doors sealed, floors cracked. The shadows laughed at him. He fled with the stone. Storm raging around him. The cat appeared at the road, now the size of a man. The car rolled, crashing down the hill. At dawn, David was found, his skull shattered by the stone, his eyes missing. In the old church, the stone returned to the altar. It glowed with fresh blood. A shadow of the black cat appeared, half man, half beast. The last whisper filled the silence. Every drop of blood is a century of torment. The stone will never rest, and neither will you.